I have made many videos on Daybreak. A lot of them, I've slightly changed my opinion on them a little bit over time. But there's one topic which I've made a video on, which I full-heartedly stand by, and I want to go through a few killers who I think desperately need to be gotten rid of. No, wait, how do I say it? I don't know how to say it. Eradicated from this curse. Curse being killers doing absolutely nothing. I'm not even joking, nothing. There's nothing unique about that, right? Like, it sounds ridiculous saying it, but genuinely they do nothing. They do nothing. Not a single thing. Okay, first killer. Are we surprised? It's Idol. Idol doesn't do anything. Right. Let me just set a little bit of groundwork, right? The whole point of killer, right? Choosing which killer you want to play is the ability. Now, take that ability, throw it out the window, step on it, chop it up, throw it in the bin, whirl it around, step on it in mud, chop it up again, put water in, mush it up, and throw it away. That's what the Idol is to me. He doesn't have an active. Oh, we can detect anyone for how many seconds. Why is that even an ability? That isn't fun, interesting, unique. His passive is even worse because it's a complete nothing burger. He's the definition of doing everything but nothing at the same time. He has everything. Anti-loop, speed, anti-gen, whatever. But he also just doesn't do anything. He has nothing going. Oh yeah, you can detect undetectables. Go on. That is the breaking point. That is what we call a fun killer. Yep. Why do people? Right. No, I also understand why people would want to play him. He's easy. He's simple. He's easy to understand. You don't really need to think too much with him. However, the reality is he just doesn't do anything. There's not... The only reason you would pick him over any other killer, especially the other gen-locking killers, is because you like Idol, the character himself. Not because he's fun, not because he's interesting, but because you like Idol and his lore and everything to do with Idol, right? There's no other reason to realistically play him, right? I think he needs a full rework, and not just the pathetic reworks they do, which is like, oh, let me just do like a little bit bigger of a stat change and call it a rework, like what they did to Banshee. No, we need a full rework. Ability changing, everything, because in reality, the reworks they do give us are weak and kind of pathetic and make no sense. This isn't a rework. This isn't even a mini rework. This is a balance patch. Not a rework, balance patch. The Idol isn't an unpopular killer to hate though. A lot of people agree with the sentiment that he's easy and he doesn't require skill, and people just don't like him, right? And yet, he still exists in this exact state for years and years on end. He hasn't had a change. He hasn't changed. He's been the same. Why? I don't have much to say about him. He's such an unfun character to go against as well. You cannot counter him at all. At all. In fact, all he is a counter. All he does is counter other people. He cannot be countered. I mean, I guess you could say his gen-locking ability, however, everyone does gen-locking better than him. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than that, because Idol genuinely is just not an interesting fun killer. For me, when I say fun killer, I more equate fun to difficulty. There's some killers who have an exception. The boss. I don't find him difficult, however, I find him very fun being a stance switcher. Stalker isn't very difficult, however, she's fun because you can sneak up on people and jump scare people. However, the killers I find truly, truly fun. The Star Eater, who I personally would not objectively, in my opinion, I would say is the hardest killer to actually use. Right? You can disagree with me. If you disagree, let me know what. If you want. I don't do what you want, actually. The People's Hero, who's also incredibly difficult, apart from now, after his change, he's going to be easy and he's going to be boring and I'm not going to play him anymore. And then the Night Countess. This might be this is a very unpopular opinion. Her ability is kind of easy to dodge. If you've played it for at least a little bit, and you understand how it works, the wind up, the speed, distance you need, everything, she is an easy character to, like, not get hit by a bubble, right? Yeah. The Empress can be kind of difficult, but also she's still easy, but she's also fun. So, exactly. See what I mean? Doesn't always equate, right? However, in general, this is generalizing, a killer being harder can mean it's a lot funner. But if a killer's hard, but incredibly gimmicky, incredibly, like, frustrating to play, like Star Eater is a lot of the time, it's not going to be fun. So, yeah, that's kind of just what I wanted to say. I don't really know how to segue into anything else. Okay, another example of a killer who I desperately think does need a rework, needs a complete change. The Principal. His extended strike, basically, shorter lunge, but you're faster. All pass is kind of there. Generator, it's there. The only reason I've seen only reason I can imagine people playing for is that tiny, small amount of extra speed. And if that actually is a reason for you to find a killer fun, go for it. Go for it then. Go for it, I guess. I disagree heavily. In fact, I disagree so much, I'd just say play the Empress instead. Or Ghost. Or the Experiment. Or the Banshee, right? An M1 killer at its finest. I don't know what else to say for this video, because I feel like it's so obvious what I'm trying to say. And I feel like it's such an obvious thing what I'm trying to get across, but I want to try, like, explain my ideas a bit more, but I can't. Because it's so obvious, there's nothing to elaborate on. He needs a rework as well. I don't care. Right. Okay. Last killer who I think also, well, I don't think he needs a full rework, but I think he needs changes. The Surgeon. Again, a glory. What do they have? Oh my god. All he has is his M1. That's interesting. Difficult, right? All he has is his M1 and people love him. Okay, you can love his character on playing, right? But sue me for thinking he's a horribly boring killer. He has nothing interesting going on. Again. Following the theme. His rage ability. It could go one of two ways. One way is it's an incredibly fast, incredibly big hitbox, no wind-up projectile, which takes minutes to get. However, on the downside of that, you could be stunned. There's a possibility that you could end up being stunned for, like, 10 seconds, or a little bit less by a few mammals, whatever. And teammates could end up getting the rage ability off, and then that'd end up being useless and you wouldn't even get down. Or so happens to get a down, That is one down after, like, I would guess, like, 3 minutes. Then you have to wait another, 3 minutes to get another down. But then you're on one gen left and everyone's alive with one person downed and you've only got one stack. Do you see? Or the other option is the projectile just isn't as OP, difficult to hit, not as fast, not as big of a hitbox. Take skill, because Surgeon doesn't take skill, which is another issue, which I've already talked about. Killers don't take enough skill, I think. Too easy. But the rage ability has a much shorter cooldown, so it acts more as if like it's a second active. That makes so much more sense to me personally, because it feels like something which assists in every chase. However, it doesn't do like a crazy amount, because all it does, it's so easy to get rid of. Compared to other rage abilities so far, like Slasher's rage ability, kind of really good and can be difficult to avoid, right? Well, could be. Hosts just walk out, right? But we also don't know the specific everything about it. The principles, his is interesting for sure. But it does more. It does like to more people. The surgeons is very concentrated on one person. You could argue that the host is also and Slashers is also concentrated on one person. However, you can use hosts for multiple people, right? You can also use Slashers for multiple people. 3 people downed, 4 people, is it? 4 people downed in a row. But then, in a row. But then, I sound so stupid. But then, Surgeons is just one person. One person hit. Oh, there we go. now the rage ability is wasted and you've not got a stack, and all of that work for nothing. All of that work for nothing. Now, I have nothing else to say, I don't think. Now, what do I think they could generally be changed to? Literally anything, because there's so many different things they can actually do. We could have, more projectile. Like, hatchet, like, Huntress. We could have, a hatchet which, like, goes in an arc, not straightforward, because that's, you know. Anything, really. Truly anything. Anything which isn't purely... Right, Dead by Daylight has Trapper, different killers like that, right? Who are M1 killers. In fact, they've got the Skull Merchant, and everyone hates the Skull Merchant and also advocates for the Skull Merchant to have better, so you know, she doesn't count. The Trapper has his traps. What does Idol have? Nothing, right? What does the Principal have? 1 extra speed? How does that make him fun? That doesn't make him fun, by the way. It's objective. Subjective. Not objective. Subjective. So, you know what? You might find them fun. And go you. Finding arguably the more sparring killers fun is a challenge. I have to say. That's so passive aggressive, but I truly mean it. I truly mean it. I'm surprised no one actually talks about how killers are boring. Is this something only I think? Or does everyone else think it, but everyone's just too afraid to say it? Because hands up, I don't know. Maybe everyone is just too afraid to say that some of the kills are boring. And that's okay, because I'll say it for them. And if no one thinks it, then I guess I'm just different. I'm just different. Goodbye.